Second time recording this because the last time my video was zoomed in. Happy New Year, everyone. Last year we saw the release of several retro handhelds that I discussed on this channel, and some that I didn't exactly get my hands on, but you probably watched videos on them over on other channels, like Linus Tech Tips or Retro Game Corps. Psst, if any companies that make these devices are watching these videos, I would love a review unit. Just shoot an email over at the email on screen. Okay, bye. Today I thought I'd go over some portable emulation devices that should come out this year that I am actually excited for and will probably review on this channel. There are chapters at the bottom of the screen, so if you want to hear me talk about one specific device or you just want to skim through a little bit, it's right down there. You're welcome. So let's get on to the first device, which I've talked about way too much on this channel, the Ayn Odin. So pre-orders have been up since August of 2021, and it claims that it'll ship starting on Monday, the 10th of January, and the dock will ship next Wednesday, the 12th of January. The Ayn YouTube channel put up a bunch of videos showing this thing playing GameCube, Wii, PS2, 3DS, and a bunch of different consoles, just showing what this thing can do. But they're mostly showing off just the base model Odin, which is fine for something like the Pro model, because everything the base can play, the Pro will play. But I don't know how much of a difference there is between the base and the light versions. There are a few videos showing the light playing stuff on their channel. It's like few and far between. So if I bought a light, I wouldn't be certain that everything that thing's playing mine would play. It's going to play a lot of stuff, but it's just not going to play them all as well as the base model or Pro model will. They haven't done too many like video game tests, but they've done like a reasonable amount, and they've done one Odin Pro video with the 3DS. So I guess it's nice to know that everything that the base will play, the Pro will play even better, but I would still like to see it pushed to its limits. Like most of the Wii games tested are on the Odin, which I guess is like, you don't want to like make people who buy your base product like think that they're not going to get as good performance, but like maybe throw it in there a little bit more. There's like a very few. It's all Odin, just base. When I get my unit, I'll be sure to test out a bunch of these emulators and a bunch of these games, trying to optimize it for like the best performance. I don't think this thing will have any issue running GameCube games at all, and the Wii games will probably be just fine. I know they said that Android is being put, like Android 12 is being put on here through a community port. I want to put Windows on here though and test out CMU, which is the Wii U emulator for PC. I want to see how well it does that. I don't think it'll do it very well, but my curiosity is peaking right now. I'm very excited about this device, but I feel like I'm just as excited, if not more excited, for the dock that was an add-on on the Indiegogo page. The dock has 2 GameCube controller ports, 2 N64 controller ports, 5 USB 3.0 ports, that's a lot, an HDMI port for output, an Ethernet port, a USB-C port for charging, and a removable back where a hard drive can be stored. I only have one N64 controller, like one official N64 controller, but that shouldn't be an issue since I'll be using Bluetooth controllers anyway. And I have a USB GameCube controller and official GameCube controllers that I can use. It's not going to be that big of an issue. But I've talked about the device way too much on this channel. Let's move on to the next device, the KT-R1. The only reason I actually know of this device is because of a Linus Tech Tips video on the GPD-XP. It was mentioned in there, and I can tell you that I am very intrigued by this device. Looking at a few different articles on this thing, it's going to be running Android 9 out of the box, seemingly, which is cool. I prefer things running Android, but I know that if people who aren't as well versed in Android as I wasn't like a year or two ago, you're not really gonna have a great time with this thing. It's better than if this thing ran Linux. That would be a headache. According to this Retro Dodo article, this thing's going to be using a Mali G52 GPU and a hexa-core AM Logic S922X 1.8 GHz CPU. Let's pretend I know what that means. It'll also have a 5000 mAh battery, 2 to 4 GB of RAM, and a 4-inch touch display, which is always appreciated on an Android device because a lot of apps and emulator settings like to use the buttons as well as the touchscreen. If the thing doesn't have a touchscreen, you have to use the buttons. It's always a pain to not have a touchscreen when you're trying to set up an emulator. I don't think this thing will be very powerful. Retro Dodo thinks that this thing will be priced between $100 and $200, and if true, this thing will have competition in the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, because that thing I think is like $80 and can play up to like N64 games. So this thing will have competition, and probably cheaper competition if it's $100 to $200. But we'll just have to wait and see. But speaking of the Retroid Pocket 2, the third device is the Retroid Pocket 3. So the Retroid Pocket 3 is hopefully coming out this year, and you might think to yourself, why would Retroid put out a device a few months or like 6 months after they put out their last one? And to that I respond, have you been paying attention in the retro emulation devices like scene or whatever? A lot of companies just put out very small increments, like once a month. It's like you churn these things out. I don't think Retroid has been guilty of this in the past, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did bring out the Retroid Pocket 3 in like 7 months. Very little is actually known about this device besides a few like drawings of what the design may look like, and I really hope this device brings more to the table than the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus does, because that's usually what happens with like a full number upgrade and not just a plus. Rumors of this device started to spread back in October or September, and they claimed that this device could come out in December or January, which makes me think that the device that was rumored was actually the 2 Plus. I certainly hope it wasn't, but it's possible. This device will obviously be able to play what the 2 Plus can and more. The 2 Plus can play like certain GameCube games at like a tolerable frame rate, so maybe the 3 could play like as many as the GPD XD Plus can. I would take a more expensive device if it was more powerful, as long as it isn't like $150 more than the last model, just for like a few GameCube games, because the GPD XP, which came out a little bit ago, is very expensive at like $325. That's like the price of like an Odin Lite. That's more than an Odin Lite, and that Odin Lite will be able to play much more stuff. So that's kind of a joke. So those are the major devices I could think of. Obviously there will be more devices coming out this year that I will cover on this channel. If you want to see those videos, get subscribed. But an honorable mention that I want to mention is the Pocket X18S. If you've been a follower of the channel for a little while now, you'll know of my rocky history with this device. The price tag didn't seem worth it, especially since it was coming out at a similar time as the Odin was planning to come out. And if the Odin didn't get delayed as much as it did, I don't think I actually would have purchased this. But I also don't necessarily regret my decision. This thing is certainly not as powerful as the Odin will be, but what this thing can do, it can do very well. The screen on here is like okay, it's not the best, but it certainly isn't the worst. But playing GBA games on this device they just look so good. I don't have an original GBA to compare this to. I kind of wish I did, but the market's crazy right now, so I'm not gonna purchase one. I guess I'll just have to take everyone's word for it when they say that the backlight was non-existent and the screen was pretty poor quality. But these games are still really pretty. I do enjoy the more like blocky art style that comes with the GBA games. Obviously that was done due to more like hardware limitations, not so much like artistic direction. They obviously took it and put a spin on it with whatever they could do, but I don't know, I kind of like the blocky art style. It looks nice. But tangent aside, what are you guys excited for this year? Is there anything I left out? Is there anything that like is more obscure that you're excited for? I was planning on putting the Steam Deck in here, but it's not tailor-made for emulation. It's tailor-made for PC games, and I didn't even buy one. So I don't know why I would. If there is anything I missed or you want to just discuss, comment down below. We'll probably have a bunch of free time to check the comments, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos, especially in the next few weeks, considering the Odin ships on Monday, and I will definitely be putting up a video as soon as I can right after I get that. Probably be like the same day or next day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week for a video I haven't planned out yet. Bye-bye.